Hi guys, it's me. So a bit of theory for you today. Something that I think you'll find very helpful. Look, I've got your flip chart. Proper job. And I want to talk about looking upstream and what that means and how it's really, really helpful for you. And I'm going to use an example of dogs and snakes, because I've just got in from a coaching session with a client, and we're out walking in the fields, and we walked into a field, and it was like high up. Oh, hi Mark, nice to see you. And there was at the top, we were walking up a hill, and at the top of the hill there was a farm, and stood at guarding this farm was a dog that was barking its head off. Now, I've got quite a checkered history with dogs, especially as a cyclist. I've been attacked by dogs many, many times, and as a child, I even, I got bit on the arm by one and had to go into hospital and have tetanus and stuff like that. So I've got quite a history of dogs. And there was a time when that situation, like going into that field and seeing that dog stood there, and it wasn't on a chain or anything like that, would have scared the bejesus out of me. And I probably would have thought twice about actually going into that field at all. Anyway, I'm with a client, and it just didn't bother me. I didn't think about it at all until we got further in, and my client was telling me about a holiday that she's going on, and she's off to the States, and was getting all excited about it, and then said, "Oh, but the snakes." And I was like, "Oh, tell me about the snakes." So she's telling me about the snakes and how she's terrified of snakes, and was telling me about, when she's with her friend who seems to be okay with snakes, and she sort of walks behind her and makes sure, but it really ruins her enjoyment of the walk. And I said, "Do you see many snakes?" And she's like, "Well, we see them from time to time. And have you ever been bitten by a snake?" No, but obviously I wouldn't want to be. And I said to her, "Well, there's some good news here. You don't have a fear of snakes." And she's like, "What? What are you talking about?" And I said, "Well, you don't have a fear of snakes. You have fearful thinking about snakes, which is very different." So she said, "What are you talking about?" And this looking upstream will hopefully give you an idea of how it works. Now, I got this. The first time I saw this was in Jamie Smart's book, The Little Book of Clarity. That's where this diagram is from. And it's so helpful to know. So if we take this fear of snakes or this fear of dogs, so that's the thing, that's the problem, that's the reality. Now, if you wanted to go and get some help about that, okay, the first level that you might go to is content of your thoughts. So that might be, so for instance, if it was me and the dogs, it might be going to get some therapy. But I'm scared of dogs, and every time I see a dog, I get really fearful. And I can imagine that we would delve around in the content of that. Well, tell me about when dogs were a problem. Oh yeah, in my childhood, I got bitten by a dog. Lots of talk about dogs. Lots of looking at the content of thought. Lots of really blowing up that balloon of dog. Now, that might help. It might help. It might help for me to understand, oh yeah, hang on a minute, it's because I was bitten as a child, and I don't have to have that fear anymore, and therefore I'm okay. Now, if it does help, then everything downstream of that is going to, so my problem with dogs might go away. Hi Denise, hi Gail. And but it might not do. It might not do. So the next level I might want to go to, if I'm seeking help with my fear of dogs, is structure of thought. And if I go and see somebody to help me with structure of thought, that might be somebody who uses maybe CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, or NLP, neuro linguistic programming, which is like brilliant for helping people with phobias. And rather than delving around in the content of that thought, talking about dogs and stuff, it'd be like, okay, well, you know, we take the fact that you've got this phobia of dogs as just like a thing. Let's work out how we can kind of like bypass those thoughts. Let's work out how we can rewire your brain, if you like, to not be afraid of dogs. So that's structure of thought, and that's pretty effective. It's a pretty effective cure, if you like. And the key is that everything downstream of this, once you've dealt with structure of thought, if you have like really, really, really good like NLP, and it's like you see the dog and you get the fear of the dog, and you do your thing, whatever it is, your thing. You know, if it's CBT, you know, it's like the classic one is, you know, snapping a band on your wrist or something, and you do your thing and it helps you. Then there's no need to go delving around in content of thought. So if you deal with the problem here, then everything downstream sorts itself out without you having to do anything. So that's our problem, fear of dogs. We can talk about our fear of dogs and hope that that helps with some therapy, or we can go and get some help and try and rewire our brains to think differently about dogs. But the real goodies are up here. This is where I do all my work, way upstream, looking at the nature of thought. Because it's not the dog that I'm actually scared of. It's not the dog that I'm scared of, because I could be scared of dogs. I could be scared of the idea of dogs. I could be worried that, oh my God, there might be a dog coming out from behind that gate anytime now. And it's not the dog that I'm scared of. It's just like it's not the snake that my client is scared of. It's the thought about the dog or the snake. And when we understand the nature of thought, when we understand that thought just passes through our lives, and like seeing that dog had the potential, if I had, well, here we go, here's my favorite prop. So seeing that dog, you know, could have done that, shaken up my snow globe, got a whole load of thinking going on about that. Oh my God, what's going to happen? What's going to happen in 2 minutes? What's going to happen when we get closer? What if it bit me? What, you know, oh my God, fear. Okay. Now all I have to do is see that it's not actually the dog that I'm afraid of. It's the thinking that I have about the dog that's actually the cause of my feelings. Well, then that changes everything. That changes everything. And with my client, I said, well, you know, what happens if you actually do see a snake? And she's like, well, I'd be even more terrified. And I'm like, well, you know, and understandably so, because nobody wants to get bitten by a snake, and some snakes are poisonous, and we've evolved this ability to, you know, have a fight or flight response. And it's, you know, it's in your best interest to have that response. But if you have to make a decision being in the presence of that snake, what's better? To be clear-minded and understand where your feelings are coming from, or to be all panicky and make some stupid dumbass thing to do with the snake that's going to get you bitten. And if you can take that step back and see where your feelings are coming from, then you probably see sense. Your wisdom would come through, and it would tell you, hang on a minute, this snake doesn't want to bite me. This snake doesn't want to bite me. This snake's not going to attack me unless I provoke it. And you get through that situation. But understanding the nature of thought. And once you do that, you don't need to worry about techniques with NLP or CBT. You don't need to keep going to therapy and talking about dogs all the time, making it worse because you're talking about dogs all the time and it's making your fears worse. And the problem sorts itself out. So that's the difference between upstream and downstream when we're looking at these things. And it's not just dogs, and it's not just snakes. It's everything that we're afraid of. It's not the thing that we're afraid of. That's not where our feelings are coming from. Our feelings are coming from thought in the present moment, thought taking form in the present moment, coming into form. So remember that. Next time you're afraid of something, ask yourself that question. Where do I think my feelings are coming from? I hope that helps. Love you all. See you soon. Bye-bye.